sprang up spontaneously in 2021 when a video of my mum's arrest for taking my grandmother out of a care home went viral. And the number of messages that we received on social media showed me that we were not alone in this situation, that there were thousands upon thousands, perhaps we'll never know the full extent, of people that were in a similar situation to us. So really, I was just one of thousands of people that were watching their loved one deteriorate behind closed doors, locked windows, with this relentless, senseless message that this was to protect them, that this was for their safety. Meanwhile, we were witnessing the most horrendous dehydration, malnutrition, all manner of psychological and physical deterioration. So from these messages that we received, we set up the People's Care Watchdog. We started as a peer-to-peer support group. We still operate as that. But pretty rapidly, we became a campaign. The stories that we were being given were so horrendous that we contacted lawyers, Hodge, Jones and Allen. They were as horrified as we were. And with their help, they have worked with us pro bono since 2021, January 2021. So all of us within the support group, we all took, and anyone who had a loved one in a care home, we had very, very steep, rapid learning curve when it came to human rights, when it came to legislation that was supposed to be in place to protect our loved ones, but in actual fact, in many cases was being used against them. Things like DOLS, deprivation of liberty order. So from this body of evidence with our lawyers, they felt it was absolutely required for us to apply to the COVID-19 inquiry. I wasn't expecting great things from the COVID-19 inquiry, but I have to say, having followed and seen some of the evidence that's been submitted, there are some really important things that have been said and that have been put down on record. Now, for us, despite the fact that we had first-hand experience, and thousands of families that we were in touch with had first-hand experience of what was happening in care homes or to vulnerable people, whether they were elderly or had disabilities. We were rejected 3 times from the COVID-19 inquiry, but they did ask us to submit a witness statement. So this witness statement took us over 6 months to write. And to say that it was re-traumatizing is an understatement. Myself and a very small core group of volunteers, Amanda being one of them, gathered together to write down, to answer some of the questions that the inquiry gave us, including things about do not attempt CPR, the blanket nature of those, the effect of restrictions of visiting. So we not only gave our own personal experiences of these, but also as a collective, as a group. There were moments, quite honestly, when I was writing this, and I know others had similar experience, when all I could do was sob. That is the extent of the trauma that people experienced during that period of lockdowns and the impact that it is continuing to have on families today. Now, we wrote up, as well as our core group of founding members, our own case studies. We wrote up over 20 case studies for families who experienced unlawful end-of-life protocols. And while do not attempt resuscitation has been covered in the COVID-19 inquiry, and the blanket nature of this, and the misuse of medication, all these things are great to see. But it does feel, and I know this is something that Amanda and I have spoken about, it feels like we need to join the dots together, that there is a very disturbing tendency within care and within the NHS to place people on unlawful end-of-life protocols. So the only thing that really got us through, listening to all these stories again, writing all this evidence down, was the concept that the light at the end of the tunnel was that this information would become part of a public record, that it would become a historical document, and these families that, and I know many of them are on the call tonight, that their suffering would not be in vain, that something good would come from these horrendous experiences. Now, rather disappointingly, we're still waiting for our information to be published. And while the inquiry is still within their rights to wait to publish it, it does feel disappointing and concerning that it hasn't been published during the hearings. Also, it just feels, where is the press coverage of these hearings? Where is the re-examining of this information? So what my biggest hope is that this information, it's not actually a hope, it's an absolute commitment, that this information that we have given, it will not be buried. It will not be buried under mountains of bureaucracy, that the family stories and the experiences of ordinary people, it will see the light of day. Whatever it is we have to do. Personally, I feel we need some sort of similar experience to what happened with the Horizon scandal, a huge, very impactful documentary or drama, so that the public at large understand what took place in care homes and hospitals during lockdowns, because they are still in the dark. But I believe that if we do that, if we bring this to light, there will be such a huge public outcry that all the neglect and all the abuse that is currently taking place, continuing to take place in care homes, and often huge discrimination also in hospitals against those with learning disabilities and those who are older. I believe that there'll be such a public outcry that we will create new systems of care, such as social enterprise care homes, community-led care homes, where the people are placed before the profit. And these big organisations that very much, unlike CAF's smaller care homes in Blackburn and Blackpool, a lot of our care homes are being run by huge organisations that take their profits offshore. So that's my hope, that it clearly hasn't happened so far during the COVID-19 inquiry hearings of the care home module, but I know that there are enough families and there are enough of us that are absolutely determined that this information will come to light, and it will. And when it does, there is going to be such change.